Today we're doing the top 5 Air Maxes of all time. Number 5. The Air Max 1. The one that changed everything. Mark Parker and Tinker Hatfield's brainchild revolutionized footwear, showcasing visible air in a striking red and white colorway. In some respects, 1987 was a great year for entertainment and culture. Aretha Franklin became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Simpsons made its first television appearance. Michael Jackson released Bad and Nike released the inaugural Air Max sneaker, the Air Max 1. These moments would all go on to be hugely influential, and each one's revolutionary character lives on today. For Nike, the Air Max 1 went down in history as a pivotal and innovative design that elevated the brand when they needed it most. It's a story that can't be told without first introducing renowned designer Tinker Hatfield. In 1981, long before becoming sneaker industry royalty, Nike hired Hatfield as a corporate architect to design buildings on the brand's Oregon campus. It wasn't until 4 years later, in 1985, that he would begin designing footwear upon request. He applied his architectural background to sneaker design, and it didn't take long for him to impart a rebellious spirit into the recently struggling brand. "I began working on a renegade set of shoes that were not part of a design brief or marketing drive," he explains, referencing what would become the very first Air Max sneaker. Number 4. The Air Max 90. The shoe that looked fast was the feedback when people saw the Air Max 90 for the first time. Designer Tinker Hatfield took inspiration from the 1987 Air Max and 1989 Air Max Lite and brought to life a shoe that is considered as iconic as the first. Launching in 1990, this shoe became the second flagship sneaker of the Air Max legacy, following the Air Max 1. The Air Max 90 was originally known as the Air Max 3 until 2000, when it was reissued, taking a new name from the year of its launch. The original shoe's radiant shade of red would later become known as infrared. The color remains synonymous with the Air Max 90 today. One of the most memorable things about this shoe is its colorway. Consider this: the Air Max 90's design would very likely mix in with other figures in the legendary line if it weren't for a particular hue. When the infrared colorway introduces us to the shoe, originally releasing back in 1990, fans couldn't get enough. The relatively aggressive look matches perfectly with the bright contrasting colors. A base pairing of gray, white, and black play second fiddle to the more boisterous red portion. But there's a catch here. As it turns out, the Nike Air Max 90 carries an OG color scheme that is, in fact, two different looks. The original 1990 drop actually features a hyphened orange. A closer look at some of the older advertising campaigns shows it. The bright accents on the OG model are clearly closer to a louder orange than anything red. It's not until 2003 that we get to see something resembling today's infrared look. A special edition of the Air Max 90 releases in Asia and Europe. This is the colorway closest to the hype-heavy scheme we know and love today. The louder orange takes it down a notch and ups for a shade much closer to pink. Another classic design aspect of this release involves the midsole. This Europe and Asia exclusive represent the last time we get to see that large overbearing air unit in the heel. Number 3. The Air Max 97. The Nike Air Max 97 has had anniversaries before, but given that its 27th birthday ties in with a revival of the late 90s style, it's a slightly bigger deal. This is one of those shoes that's both loved and hated, an object that's very much of its time, but one with an undeniable identity. From its inception to the strange forms it took throughout the years, Nike designer Christian Tresser's creation has had an interesting couple of decades so far. The Nike Air Max 97 debuted in 1997. The 1997 installment of the Nike Air Max continued the legacy of the beloved Air Max franchise. The 1990s is arguably the best decade for sneakers. The Nike Air Max 97 is one of the most memorable sneakers of the 90s. The shoe was designed by Christian Tresser. The low top was inspired by Japan's bullet trains and water dropping in a pond. The 97 had a full-length visible Air Max unit. The 180 degrees of visible air was revolutionary. The Air Max unit provides perfect cushioning, and it is one of the most comfortable Air Max models. The Nike Air Max 97 was popular in America, but its popularity in the States paled in comparison to how it was received in Europe. The pair of the Nike Air Max 97 that really clicked with European sneaker fans was the Silver Bullet. The Air Max 97 Silver Bullet is an icon internationally. The Silver Bullet is the most iconic Air Max 97 colorway in the world. The Silver Bullet is what people think of when they hear Air Max 97. It is like the Air Max 95 and the OG Neon in that way. Both of those models have colorways that define the shoe. The Air Max 97 and the silver colorway work together perfectly. The Silver Bullet uses metallic silver mesh and reflective 3M. There is a pop of varsity red in the form of the world-famous swoosh. The black and white outsole is a crucial piece of the sneaker's beloved aesthetic. The metallic silver colorway took inspiration from mountain bike components and the metal finishes bikes at the time often had. Number 2. The Air Max Plus. Designed by industry veteran Sean McDowell and originally released in 1998, the Air Max Plus relaunched in 2018 to celebrate its 20th anniversary. Here's a brief history of the shoe, compliments of its designer. Sean McDowell actually began designing the shoe long before he got to Nike. However, some may not know that the Air Max Plus used 3 never-before-employed manufacturing techniques, according to Nike. I hung out on the Florida beaches and just thought and sketched. It was one of my most creative times, said McDowell about a vacation he took with friends. One evening, it was turning to dusk, so the very blue sky was starting to fade to dark blue, and the palm trees were blowing in the wind. I sketched that out, and I thought, it could make a quarter panel, like you could hold your foot down with those palm trees, he continued in a statement. McDowell, who grew up a runner, arrived at Nike in 1997 and immediately started working on a new running shoe for Foot Locker. It had to use the then-new Max Air cushioning, and because he was so new to Nike, he had never drawn the proper swoosh before. The swoosh on the Air Max Plus has the border on the inside, and the shape is different. I wanted to put some emphasis on the top-down view, said McDowell in a statement. The palm trees looked good on the medial and lateral sides, but when it came to connecting them on the top it looked weird to have a straight line connecting them, so I thought, what else could I do that's a little more interesting? While the Air Max Plus has become a lifestyle shoe since its original debut, the shoe originally weighed less than 12 ounces because it was a performance runner. McDowell says that's lightweight for a PU, polyurethane, shoe, especially in the late 90s. It used a striking sublimated treatment to create the shoe's iconic faded upper. Additionally, making the whole shoe out of thin welded TPU had never been done, and after manufacturing challenges, 3 separate welds were needed. Once it was determined the Air Max Plus TN could be produced the way McDowell had envisioned it, it still needed to be approved by the retailer, Foot Locker, which devised an interesting market research exercise, put the shoe on the shelf at a store right when school lets out and observe. 5 or 10 minutes later, there were like 10 kids flocking to the shoe asking, "What is this? How do I get it?" said McDowell in a statement. The associates were looking around like, "I've never seen that thing before, I don't know how much it costs, I don't know where it came from," while the kids were running around like, "I want to buy this thing." They were almost frantic. I was beaming. Number 1. The Air Max 95. The Air Max 95 might just be the most beloved shoe in the entire Air Max series. When the 1995 Air Max debuted, it was one of Nike's brashest designs. The Nike Air Max 95 changed the game when it came to running shoes. For Nike, who has revolutionized footwear, the 95 was unlike anything that came before it. Sergio Lozano was responsible for the provocative Air Max 95. Basketball for Nike was so dominant in the 90s that Nike running was taking a back seat in comparison. Lozano saw the Air Max 95 as an opportunity to recapture the attention and recognition Nike running once had. Nike gave Lozano a lot of creative freedom and encouraged him to take risks with the 95. Lozano was influenced by the human body when it came to the 95's design story. The forms of human muscles and vertebrae played a role in the shoe's design. The upper of the shoe had layered panels that resembled muscle fibers and flesh. The eyelets were inspired by human ribs. The midsole was modeled after the spine. The earliest sketches and designs of the 95 were inspired by the outdoors. Lozano would stare outside of his office daily. One day, he got the idea to design a product based on erosion. The human body ultimately took center stage as the 95's design inspiration. But elements of the outdoors still play a role in the shoe's creation. Keeping the shoes in pristine condition for as long as possible was important to Lozano. He wanted to use gradient gray as the base color of the first 95 shoe to help hide the appearance of dirt and mud. Neon yellow was added to the shoe to make the mostly gray silhouette a bit more exciting. The Volt colorway has become one of the most important color themes in Nike's storied history. The Air Max 95 is still in heavy rotation for Nike. It has received hundreds of colorways over the years. The Volt colorway is an icon that stands out from the other 95 colorways, and also the Air Max series. That's all for the top 5 Air Max sneakers of all time. Thank you for watching, and please like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.